walk that leads through sunshine isn't far, and you should know. I've packed my bags, goodbye to family and friends. All is well, we should meet again, because the money, it just don't matter. If I have to, I'll spend it all for midnight drinking by the cold, a cigarette in the early morning.
And Joe the Shirt's off the cuff. What the fuck were we playing? Oh my god. Actually, what that was a band known as White Room and their song Barcelona. I just randomly picked today's band, okay? I decided I'm going to put on something that makes me think of the Beatles playing badly. And that's what I came up with today. Welcome once again to Joe the Shirt's Off the Cup. We're so happy that you're here. And you know what? I've decided that I can use the term we when it comes to the show, because I am the producer, the director, the writer, the on-air talent, the editor or lack thereof. I'm all of it right here, man. So welcome once again. We are happy to have you here. Before I jump into today's show, Angus T. Jones is a whiny little bitch. I want to see if somebody can explain a little bit of logic to me, just really quickly here. The other day, I went to go buy garbage bags for the kitchen. And I go to the store, I go to CVS, and I buy a box of garbage bags, and I bring them home. I get home, I didn't realize I got the 30-gallon size instead of the 13-gallon size, which I needed. Didn't realize that till the next day. I'd already thrown away the receipt. So I go back in there, and I tell the guy behind the counter, hey man, I got this yesterday, but I needed the 13-gallon size, not this size. He's like, well, Joseph, go grab it. Grab the other box and take them both to the counter, and she'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. And I go to the counter, and the chick there is like, I tell her the same thing. I'm like, look, I bought these yesterday, but I actually wanted these. And she's like, do you have your receipt? And I go, no, I do not. I lost it. And she goes, well, without receipt, I can't give you your money back. And I go, well, I don't want my money back. I just want this box. And she goes, well, I guess that's okay. So where's the logic there? All she knows, because she didn't see me come in, all she knows is that I walked up to her with two boxes, claimed that I purchased this one, wanted to exchange it for that one. She wouldn't give me a refund if I wanted to, but was more than happy to just exchange it for me. I'm going to try this again sometime. I'm just going to go into the store, pick up two items that are similar, claim that I bought one, want to exchange it for the other, and see what happens. Just something that occurred to me. So as I said, today's show is Angus T. Jones is a whiny little bitch. Now, I say this because, like most of you may have seen, Angus T. Jones recently was in a video, I think it was on Monday, where he was on some show, some Christian-themed website called Forerunner Chronicles, where he was on the show talking to the show's host, talking to him about what a crappy show 2.5 Men is, his show, mind you, claiming that the show is filth, that you should not watch it, you should probably not be watching TV, that if you do, if you study the effects of TV on the human brain, you'll have a real decision to make, and that people. Well, you know what? Let me give you a quote from him. Let's see. I'm Angus T. Jones. I'm on 2.5 Men, and I don't want to be on it. Please stop watching it. Please stop filling your head with filth. People say it's just entertainment. Do some research on the effects of television on your brain, and I promise you'll have a decision to make when it comes to the television. Apparently, Angus is now a Seventh-day Adventist. I am not particularly familiar with the Seventh-day Adventists. I do know they are a Christian-based religion. And Angus thinks that his religious beliefs are now in conflicting with his professional life. Fuck you, you whiny little bitch. That's all I have to say about Angus T. I mean, really, fuck you. This offends me on a lot of levels, actually. Because, okay, you know what? A lot of us hate our job. We really do. I can remember the best job I ever had, and there were days I still fucking hated it. But I went in. You know, and it's okay for Angus to hate his job. But I don't think it's okay for him to bite the hand that feeds him. You know, he's been on the show for, this is his 10th season. You know, it's like all of a sudden, now he wants to whine about it. Now he wants to bitch about it. Now it's against his religious beliefs. But mind you, he's not leaving the show. Even though he says he doesn't want to be on it. And you begin to wonder why. Well, why doesn't Angus leave the show? Well, I can think up with about 350,000 reasons per episode why Angus doesn't leave the show. That's right. This little bitch gets $350,000 per episode to suck on TV. I mean, let's face facts. I mean, I think the producer of the show, Chuck Lorre, should just fire the little bitch. Just fire his ass. That's what I would do in this situation. You know, it's like, you know what? We stopped caring about the character Jake on 2.5 Men when Jake stopped being cute, and that was about a good 7 or 8 seasons ago. And the kid's barely on the show now because his character's gone off to the army. Well, fuck him. That's what I say. Fuck him. You get rid of him. Or you know what, Angus? Here's a little piece of advice for you. Why don't you just quit? And when you think about that, I guess the immediate answer would have to be, well, I can't quit because I'm under contract. And so what you're saying is then that money is still more important than your religious beliefs. Well, good. It's good to know that this country is still very consistent in its core beliefs as to what it really believes in. Money before God. Okay, that's good. I'm fine with that. Just don't throw God in people's faces as a reason for you to deride your own show. You know, it offends me on the level of it bites the hand that feeds him. It offends me on the level that he's bringing God into it, but not really doing anything about it. And then it also offends me as somebody that used to sort of kind of be in the entertainment industry. I mean, I was a stand-up comic for 15 years, and like just about every stand-up comic, my hope was to someday, you know, get into movies, TV, have my own sitcom, whatever, right? So you have to do, as a comedian, some acting. That's going to come in sooner or later. And I got to tell you, it is the biggest pain in the ass to try to be an actor, okay? At least when it comes to being a comedian or a musician, you know, you decide the material for you. You decide what you think is funny or what you think is good music, or, you know, or if you're a poet, you decide what's good writing. You know, a writer, you decide what's a good story. That's on you, you know. But as an actor, and I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry for any of my actor pals out there, but I'm going to say this, I do not think acting is an art. I really don't. I never have. Because when I see all the tools on TV that are working, and I'm looking at that, I'm like, they don't really seem all that talented. I honestly don't really believe so. I know lots of actors and some comedians that are doing acting now, and I happen to know that, you know, in my opinion, a lot of them suck. Let's be honest, most actors do suck. That's why. No, that's not why. But most actors, especially comedic actors, you know, that are comedians, they didn't get hired for their acting. They got hired because they were funny on stage, and then they were allowed to, you know, be on a show and then develop. I mean, you remember Jerry Seinfeld? First couple of seasons on his show, Seinfeld, he was the worst actor in the bunch. So I'm not gonna go around saying that. I don't think acting is really an art. You know, sorry. You know, no. I can't say no offense. Obviously, it's going to offend you if you're an actor, but the next part of what really offends me about this is the fact that the vast majority of actors, I'm talking about 90% of actors, are not acting. Okay, they don't have jobs as actors. Okay, we're looking at a 99% unemployment rate. That blows the shit out of everything else in this country. All right. Nobody else has that kind of unemployment rate, okay? Actors. And I feel for you guys, and I'm very supportive of you guys. Don't get me wrong, because just because I say it's not an art, it's a skill, it's a craft, okay? But I won't say it's an art. But you guys work at it. You practice it. You go to your classes. You rehearse. You practice your faces. You practice. You're crying. You're laughing. Your emotions. All that. And God bless you on that one. You work hard at it, and good for you. So I think it's a slap in your collective faces that a little whiny bitch like Angus T. Jones can go around telling you that he doesn't want to be on a show that pays him $350,000 an episode. Not only do most actors not make $350,000 a year, I doubt the vast majority of actors here in Hollywood are going to make $35,000 this year. So I find very, very insulting and just very stupid, actually, of Angus T. Jones. It reminds me a little bit of Sean Hayes when he got his big break on Will and Break back in the 90s there. And up until he got his big break on Will and Grace, he was living in an apartment, I think it was a 2-bedroom apartment, with like 4 or 5 other guys. So he wasn't exactly living the lap of luxury, okay? And then a few years into Will and Grace, it's a great big hit show. His contract's just about up. He starts talking about how, well, I don't know if I really want to come back and do this anymore. I don't want to be defined as, just Jack. And I was just like, you know what? Just fuck you. A couple years ago, you're living with 4 dudes in a 2-bedroom in Hollywood. Now you can own the building if you wanted to. So don't give me that shit. Now Jones did sort of take back his remarks a little bit. He issued a statement without apologizing for it. He said that he has the highest regard and respect for all of the wonderful people on 2.5 Men with whom he has worked with over the past 10 years and who have become an extension of his family, even though they all work together to produce filth. Once again, fuck you, Angus. I don't know, doesn't that bother you in any way? It bothers me, I don't know, I get upset by it. I'm done with this, I'm not going to talk about that bitch anymore. I want to do a couple of quick short stories before we take the break. How about that? Let's see. Anything good? Oh, here's one. This is one of my favorites of the day. A federal judge has ordered tobacco companies to publish corrective statements that say they lied about the dangers of smoking and that disclose smoking's health effects, including the death of an average of 1,200 people per day. Each corrective ad is to be prefaced by a statement that a federal court has concluded that the defendant tobacco companies, quote, deliberately deceived the American public about the health effects of smoking. Among the required statements are that smoking kills more people than murder, AIDS, suicide, drugs, car crashes, and alcohol combined, and that secondhand smoke kills over 3,000 Americans a year. So this is what the federal government is doing. They want the tobacco companies to put this out there in the world for you. I don't know how exactly. Magazines, YouTube, Facebook. Maybe they'll put billboard ads. Hey, we're sorry. I think it's an empty gesture because let's face facts. We all know tobacco is bad for you, and if you didn't know tobacco was bad for you back then, well, you're just as dumb as you look. I mean, I've said this before. Back when I was a kid, me and my friends, in New York City, we'd build a fire in the middle of winter in an old garbage can, to stay warm. When the wind shifted and smoke blew in our faces, we moved away from the smoke to the other side. We figured out smoke is bad for you. So, if you haven't figured that one out, you're really not that bright anyway. But we are going to take a break now, me and the rest of the crew. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Here's more White Room with Badio Chino.
El 5 de mayo pasado, en un cafetucho en un barrio chino después de trabajar, bebiendo un porto, mirando el mundo detrás de la ventana, mientras que camina. Cuando ella entró, ya había llorado.
Sorry. Almost fell asleep there. Oh, yeah. Hope you guys are still awake. Very soothing music. Welcome back once again to Joe the Shirts Off the Cuff. I picked the band at random. All right. I've encouraged you guys to contact me if you know a band whose music you want to put on. You know, I'll leave. You know what? If you send me the music of a band that you want to put on, contact me about it. You know, I'll put on a full song of the band. Okay, I'll put in like an intro of one song, intro in the beginning, intro of another song at the end. But in the middle, for the break, I'll put on a full goddamn song. You know, if you guys want to send me something, I'm happy to do it. All right, now back to what's going on. It's raining out here in Los Angeles. It's raining like a bitch, and it's getting on my last nerve. I had to move all the way out here from New York so I can get rained on here. All right, what's going on here now? Oh yeah, what do I want to do? What do you got? You know what? Let's continue with this. Talking about celebrities just a little bit. Now, there's something going now, the newest fad among the kids, called swatting. For those of you not familiar with swatting, basically it's when somebody calls the authorities and claims that something horrible is happening at your house. Okay, basically, like say somebody will call the police and say, that I'm molesting children in my apartment. They'll give the name, my address, my apartment number, and then the police will come in here and storm the joint. But a more sophisticated form of swatting is actually where they make the phone call and they spoof the phone when they make it seem as if the phone call is coming from inside the actual house. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples here of some famous swattings. See, a distress call came Sunday around 1 p.m. Emergency in Beverly Hills. Someone was being held hostage at Simon Cowell's house. The victim reported a female caller was tied up with duct tape inside a bathroom at the brash British X-Factor judge's Hillside mansion. Let's see. Cowell was home when Beverly Hills police arrived at his residence, but there was no hostage negotiation, no armed standoff, nor were any arrests made. Just a big hoax. A similar call reached the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department on October 10th before 2 a.m. Someone inside a gated Calabasas mansion reported shots fired and said the gunman was threatening residents, making clear he'd put the police in his crosshairs when they showed up. Unbeknown to the sheriff's deputies, that mansion belonged to the most famous teenager on the planet, Justin Bieber. Multiple squad cars were scrambled and heavily armed deputies arrived. They swept Bieber's residence and 2 others on the street before discovering it was all a hoax. The pop star was on tour. Now, these are just 2 of the more recent high-profile victims of swatting. Other ones include, Miley Cyrus and Ashton Kutcher. Let's see what happened here. Investigators said that a 911 call reported an armed home invasion that sent firefighters plus a dozen police officers swarming on Miley Cyrus's unoccupied Studio City home in August. They had vision from a cell phone. 2 months after Cyrus was swatted, someone claiming to be a woman locked inside a closet at Ashton Kutcher's Lake Hollywood residence sent a text to 911 reporting that shots had been fired and individuals identified as Russian men were robbing the house. Police showed up and just, held Ashton Kutcher's workmen in custody for a while. Now, this all sounds pretty funny, and in a lot of ways it is pretty freaking funny. But it's also really, really dangerous. If you've ever had the police come busting through your door assuming that a crime had happened or was happening, or they thought that maybe there was a dangerous person inside your house, you know exactly just how dangerous it is when the police decide to bash down your fucking door. I have had this happen to me. I've told this story. Tell it real quick here. A buddy of mine that I was living with at the time, he had said something stupid to a councilman here in West Hollywood. Somebody overheard it, took him seriously. About 2 weeks later, the police, right around 6, 7 in the morning, just batter rammed my house, my front door, just destroyed my front door, came on in, and then next thing I knew, I'm buck-ass naked with 6 police officers pointing guns at me, 4 handguns, 2 shotguns, and all of them screaming at me to put my fucking hands up. I did. Also me, pooped a little on myself. But that's the type of situation I'm talking about here. I mean, think about how dangerous that is. I mean, I had just woken up. I was just coming out of the bathroom and these guys just, storm into my house. And I had been drinking and I was high the night before. So I wasn't really paying attention. I thought all the noise outside was construction work, which had been going on in my neighborhood. So these guys come barreling in. I mean, imagine if I'd reacted just a little too twitchy for them. Imagine if, one of them thought I was concealing a weapon, naked. I'm not sure how, but imagine that. I mean, I could have been shot right there and then. And, at first it sounds really funny, but it's really not, because people can really fucking get hurt this way. And it's also expensive. The incident over at Ashton Kutcher's house, Miley Cyrus's house, Ashton Kutcher's, yeah. Ashton Kutcher's house, that was $10,000. Okay? Another swatting incident was, Los Angeles County Deputy District Attorney Patrick Frey was swatted at his Rancho Palos Verdes home last July. In full view of his startled neighbors, Frey was led out in shackles by 5 armed deputies after a male caller told responders at the Lomita Sheriff's Station that the Deputy District Attorney had shot his wife. Outside were 4 police cruisers, a fire truck, an ambulance, a hazardous materials van, and a chopper shining a spotlight on his property. Frey's wife was awakened and frisked by police on the front porch, while 2 officers checked on the couple's 8 and 11-year-old children sleeping upstairs. Now, you see that? That's fucked up. That is really fucked up right there. And yes, I can see the humor in this, and I will make fun of this on a regular basis. But this is dangerous. It's a prank calling is one thing, but this is essentially making a false police report, which is a misdemeanor, which isn't shit. But there's now legislation in California to bump that up to a felony where you can get anywhere between 5 and 10 years per incident, per person involved. So, I don't know. I laugh at it, but it really is one of the scariest things in the world when the police come barreling through your fucking house. You do not want that ever to happen, especially when you did nothing to deserve it. Oh my God. What was it? So recently we had, I think it was yesterday, Mitt Romney went to the White House to meet up with President Barack Obama in the now traditional shaking of the hands after presidential race has been run, also known as the kissing of the ass. There's a picture here where you see Barack and Mitt shaking hands, and Barack's leaning in, and I start to think, what is Barack saying? And I'm thinking to myself, he's probably saying to him, what's it feel like to be the second white guy in history to get beaten by a black guy? That's what I think he's actually saying. What's it feel like to be the second white guy in history to get beaten by a black guy? What? I'm trying to. Who was the first one? I can barely remember the first guy. Was that Dick Cheney? Is that him? Yeah, I think it was Dick Cheney, and I was like, Dick Cheney was the first guy to get beaten by a black guy for the presidency. I know that it shouldn't be funny, but it is. It's like there's something about me that just thinks, I in a lot of ways I just think that all white men are racist, and that this was funny to me. And finally, our last story of the day, I believe. There's a DUI suspect in a pedestrian death. Let's see, who was it here? Sherry Wilkins is accused of DUI and manslaughter. Now, let's see what happened here. According to this, let's see, she was she was driving home after having a few. Gentleman, Philip Moreno, I think about 18, 19 years old, was 31 years old, was crossing the street, and she just plowed right into him. And she didn't stop, kept going for another 2 miles, with Philip still connected to her windshield. Not funny. Did she just not notice him? Just think it was a really big bug? Turn on the wipers? Did she try that? Now, Wilkins had the blood alcohol level that was more than double the legal limit of 0.08. So she was plowed. That's definite there. What does this story make? What's interesting about this story? If you think to yourself, well, Joe, people hit people with their cars all the time when they're drunk. Happens. That's drunk driving. It's fucked up. What makes this interesting is that the accused, Sherry Wilkins, is a drug and alcohol counselor. Yes! She gets paid to counsel other people on drugs and alcohol, and she's an alcoholic. A practicing alcoholic, not a recovering alcoholic, which I find is, that would be like me being a drug and alcohol counselor. I used to imagine you walking into my office and go, "Hey, Mr. Mitchell, good to see you again. Now tell me, Mr. Mitchell, do you really want to talk about your mamby-pamby little pussy problems, or do you want to party?" Tell you what, Mr. Mitchell, because you're a client, I'll give you a discount. All right, I'll give you a discount. I find that hysterical. Let's see. Now on her MySpace page, Wilkins had written that she had been sober for 11 years, had reconnected with family, and according to state records, had earned a certification in drug and alcohol counseling. She was working at a Torrance treatment center, helping others battle their addiction as she tried to put hers behind her. But over the weekend, Wilkins allegedly struck a pedestrian while driving drunk on Torrance Boulevard. He kept driving more than 2 miles, the man embedded in a windshield. Torrance police arrested the 51-year-old on suspicion of driving under the influence and manslaughter. According to her bosses over at the Twin Town treatment centers, there was absolutely nothing that gave us indication that she was in any danger zone. See, again, now that also worries me, because these are supposed to be professionals that are supposed to be able to tell the signs when someone has a problem. Now, this is not her first time. In 2010, Wilkins faced charges of driving under the influence, hit and run, and being under the influence of a controlled substance after she allegedly hit a power pole at the intersection of 182nd and Hawthorne, less than 2 miles from where Moreno was pulled from her windshield. That case was dismissed because it turns out her alcohol level was 0, and there just doesn't seem to be enough proof that there were drugs in her body. Let's see. Court shows that Wilkins had 2 convictions for burglary and petty theft in Los Angeles County and San Bernardino County, where she bringing alcohol and drugs into a prison. And under her MySpace profile, under smoke and drink, no and no. Well, I guess she lied. Well, that's it for my show today. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. I'm Joe the Shirt. I've been off the cuff, and I'm going to let you guys go with one more crappy White Room song. It's called Play It As It Lies. Later, y'all.